continue this fascinating conversation over a fireside chat that focuses on digital public infrastructure, India's global blueprint. Joining the fireside chat is Mr. Rahul Matthan, partner at Trilegal and one of India's most respected voices in technology law and digital governance. He has served on key committees of the RBI and Government of India, and most recently advised during India's G20 presidency on the ethical AI. His work blends law, innovation, and impact, and we are thrilled to have him with us today. Let's welcome him on stage, please. Sir. Dr. Varma, welcome back to the stage.
Pramod, it's always wonderful to see all those numbers, but for those who didn't get it, I want to underscore a few things. Next month is going to be 15 years from the first Aadhaar that was released to someone.
Yeah.
1.4 billion people have an Aadhaar. The number you said was 250 billion authentications. I think the concern was that this technology wouldn't work, but at the very least, it's worked 250 billion times, is what we should say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
UPI is 18 billion plus transactions. Last month, it crossed Visa as the largest payment network in the world. Wow. And then there's a litany of things. There is...
we have not even begun.
And we've only just begun. There is data sharing, there is, backend, so all of these things. And if you think back to what I just said, we started only 15 years ago. And still I saw a slide which said that it's too slow. How much faster do you want this to be? Don't you think we've done a lot and do you want to accelerate even further?
I think, of course, we have to accelerate and at the speed at which the society can come along. It's very, very key. And this is what we saw with payments. This is what we saw with all the transactions. For UPI, when we started, by the way, every one of the features that you are seeing today in UPI has been already written down it was already in the spec in 2014. Every one of them. Okay, very little added later. But the way we unravel the capabilities, and NPCI was brilliant about it, their operational rigor, to carefully calibrate how the society, only so much the society can take it, including the regulator can take it. Okay, the regulator will say it's too much risk, because regulators are very risk averse. And for obvious reasons of where they come from. So it's important that if you're looking at a population scale shift, if you're only looking at a small scale shift, you can go faster. But if you want the whole of country to trust it, to depend on it, then you have to calibrate that action very carefully. So UPI, 2,000 rupee limit was there early. Then we can now 200,000 limit. When she started in SEBI, 50,000 limit was there. Now I think it's higher. Paperless investment is higher. So a lot of these limits are put just to see whether this is not blowing up on our face. Because at the end of the day, people could lose money and lose trust in the whole system. So I think it is okay to go at that space. But there's a significant difference between designing for an ambitious design versus a calibrated action. People mix up these two. And they say, no, none of this will work now and won't, so I'll design it for today. No, design always for 15 years for tomorrow, but implement for today. I think that difference of view is what we had, I think we had played out really well. I think we designed for 15, 20 years.
And
by the way, many of the features of UPI is not even unraveled yet. I know them inside. I know they are there. It's not shown up. Because even RBI don't want it, I think. I mean, some of them are scary even for them. Yeah. Like, could we tokenize the money? Like things like that. So it's very tricky. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned that you and Nandan are now looking to build for the world. But clearly the build for the world moment was catalyzed in the G20 when India pushed during its presidency this idea of DPI.
Correct.
And it's really amazing to see now DPI is in the language everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's part of English, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, DPI was a word before, it was called Deep Packet Inspection, but no one knows that that's the meaning of it. Since then, you've been doing a lot of this globalization. What you didn't talk about is really that effect. Can you talk a bit about how other countries are picking this up and what that movement sort of is? Because the World Bank was always doing this. They were doing ID for D
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but they were going at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
And since 2023,
No, ID4D was actually constructed subsequently post to Aadhaar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so after the G20, with
Yeah,
CDPI,
yeah,
what is the
yeah.
work that you're doing, and what is the
I think
footprint
two
for the
things happened. One, G20 brought a common vocabulary to describe the idea that the infrastructure can be separated from the solutioning. First point. Because again, if you're an engineer, we think full stack. We want to do the whole thing. Because it's also fun to build the whole thing. So, sometimes you end up building the whole thing. But what is reality is that it's like saying, I want to be in the city, I have to build the road myself, I have to build the plumbing myself, I have to build the sewage myself, I have to build everything else. So that's in the physical world, obviously we think shared infrastructure is an obvious yes. In the digital world, that shared infrastructure was shown only with the internet. Beyond that, all the shared infrastructure were private investment, like AWS or Azure. They're all shared infrastructure, computing infrastructure, like cloud infrastructure is a shared infrastructure, but it's a private shared infrastructure. Google Maps is a shared infrastructure. And the whole world uses Google Maps, but it's a private infrastructure. We flip that thing saying that, okay, market has shown and history has shown that if you build shared infrastructure, the velocity of innovation can accelerate on top of it. And not everybody has to redo the same thing all over again. It's like saying you want to build a house, you start building the brick first. No, it's stupidity. You should be able to buy, assemble. So you are a solution maker, you are an entrepreneur. You go after the market for a vertical, you should be assembling and GTMing fast. And then try, fail, whatever, right? Keep moving. If you have to build a bunch of things that is stupid to rebuild, that was the essence of DPI. DPI was the idea that you can actually create shared infrastructure that would absolutely exponentially accelerate innovation. And that vocabulary setup, everybody agreed, and then, of course, it became sort of nomenclature. Everybody now talks about DPI. Everybody talks about it. I don't think everybody knows fully what it is, but it doesn't matter. It's like AI, it's a cool thing to talk about. Once upon a time, Web3 was a cool thing to talk about. It's okay to be a cool thing to talk about. Nothing wrong. When you have a beer, you want to talk about cool stuff. And so DPI is one of them. But what we really saw, the second order effect, is that the first was everybody wants it. But the second, no one is able to do it. Brazil did a brilliant job with Pix after seeing UPI. Actually, they publicly admitted that they watched UPI and they were fascinated and inspired by what UPI did. And 2 years later, they launched Pix. Pix adoption is even bigger than UPI. Not volumes, because our population is so large. 80% of the adults use Pix. We are still only 40% of the adults using Pix, okay? So, UPI, so 40, 50. So our headroom is still very large, but Pix, Thailand did prompt pay. So we see all these advantages. And of course, identity project within Nigeria, NIMSI, these guys doing digital identity, Ethiopia, all of them doing it after sort of Aadhaar, like digital identity for verification of who I am in the system. So you see the bits and pieces, but you still see only like 10 countries. Actually, countably finite number of countries trying to do it. Then you wonder, my God, was this pure serendipity for India? It's just random set of people, random set of officers, random good set of regulators, good set of market players, just sort of showed up, correct time, correct place for us? Or is there a algorithmization of this? Is there an algorithm that we can repeat? And what we are seeing is that there is some algorithm, but it's very, very hard to repeat because of the variety of reasons of capacity, capability, market readiness. That's all diverse, vary in the country. All 190 may be hard, at least 150, maybe a lot of countries may be still hard. And a lot of them have also economy of scale problem because our advantage is abundant. We talked about abundance. We have abundance of people. So we can say our market is so large, we are interested in doing it. But if you are a Pacific island with 200,000 people population, Nation with 200,000 people, 2 lakh, okay? What do? You depend on some global tech, what to do, right? So I think there is a question coming up. Hence our argument that internet was not built one country at a time. It was not Brazil did an internet, India did an internet, Europe did internet, and then somehow we figured out, okay, let's connect it. No, internet was a universal, programmable infrastructure that allowed the whole of humanity to leverage the way you want to leverage. Now, internet banking in India may be very different, or money movement in India may be very different, but they're all on internet. We are all on internet. So internet allows that layered innovation to allow. That's our imagination with the new thing. If you can create an internet of value. Now, audacious, ambitious, like, Nandan says, why the hell are you into all this shit? Again, I don't know. But attempting is worth. We have to attempt. The ability to move economic value across the supply chain, across the borders. Can we create a programmable fabric? That's what we are after.
So we'll get to that in a bit. But before that, I just wanted to unpack that other thing that you said in your presentation, which is that this is shareable.
Yeah.
And it's something that businessmen and entrepreneurs are a little averse to, instinctively.
Yeah.
Because
The
the
moat
moment you
versus-
share,
yeah, the moat versus-
you lose your moat. You
Yeah.
lose your ability to differentiate, your ability to keep others from copying you. For the entrepreneurs, the businessmen in the room, can you explain how someone can get value out of it? I mean, Nitin has shown how
We should ask him later.
we should ask him later.
Yeah.
But just, this whole idea of the thing that you're selling is there are lots of bits and pieces, Lego blocks, and some business can put it together and create something. But what's the point of putting it together and creating it if that is fundamentally reshareable?
So there
How
are
does the business
very,
get out
very
of
good.
this?
Okay, so if you really ask UPI was, we have seen at least twice, absolute near death of UPI. And if that incident happened, you wouldn't have had UPI. Think about it, right? As like, we can't imagine, okay, we could have an alternate world, quantum world, where we had no UPI. Yeah, because it's not obvious to the large incumbents. If you're an incumbent, large incumbent, one is just the incumbency. Why do more when you have a moat? You already have a moat. So I'm happy with where I am. Why the hell are you cooking up new shit right in Bangalore and showing up in Mumbai, right? So second, the regulator is asking this. Didn't we have IMPS? Don't we have RTGS? Aren't we happy? Why are we doing? Or let Paytm or somebody do it. What is your problem, right? So it's a very interesting problem that we have to deal with. So you are right in when it comes to large incumbents and the regulatory conservatism. It's hard to make that move. But what we saw is two very different reasons I think India it worked. One, I think, and if you don't realize this, you should definitely know that tech has never been the moat. As a technologist, I can tell you, ChatGPT we thought was the biggest moat. 6 months later, we had Llama. 1 year later, we had DeepSeek. So in the sense that, yeah, maybe you have a 1 year runway. Maybe you have 2 year runway. You have a very little moat. We had Alta Vista, one of the best engineered search engine, if people are old enough, okay? Not young enough. People who used it. Then we had Yahoo, who actually executed reasonably well. We thought Yahoo was on top. And then the Google attack came. Google search. Yahoo was nowhere. Like Nokia effect. The Nokia effect, right? So you see, it's all in execution. It's not some stupid code you think you have an IT. There's IP. You have no IP there. Okay, you have maybe some months of IP. Especially software. Zero IP. Yeah, you can patent, try, sue somebody and screw around to slow down somebody. No way you can stop the onslaught of entrepreneurial onslaught and innovation cannot be stopped. That means you really have no moat other than ability to execute relentlessly. Nothing else is your moat. Point number one. Point number two is that India, with that fragmentation, it was an expansion of the pie game. It was not a replacement game we were playing. And people who in 2015 said, oh, UPI is going to be, very few people said, okay, UPI is going to be visa killer. It was never a visa killer. Card volume went up by 5 to 6x in India. At the same time, UPI grew. So it's because of our the pie is so freaking large that we have to, if you're a visionary, you'll realize I want the next 500 million people on my platform. I'm not dealing with this 20 million, 50 million, and then fighting it out. I want that playground to open up. Once that playground is for me to execute. I think people who realized those two came, and almost always, all these things came through challengers, almost challengers first than the incumbents first. Like challenger banks came to UPI first. That's understandable. But nevertheless, it was always the expansion of the pie and expansion of the execution game that you could do. So people who realize that don't necessarily resist.
So speaking of killers, ONDC is supposed to be the Amazon killer.
No.
I know you were going to say
setup.
that.
Okay, yeah. And Amazon may be hard to kill also because we don't want it to be killed. I love it. I use it. One call, return, money back, beautifully executed. Oh, look at the machinery. Unbelievable. But we have 9% of B2C digital. 90% of B2C is physical. Fragmented, inefficient. So ONDC is about expanding, bringing 100 more Amazons in variety of sectors to interplay like internet, to say commerce cannot have borders, cannot have unrestricted, digitally orchestrated commerce across sectors. That's the idea of ONDC. It's an expansion of the game. Massive expansion.
So many people associate Beckon with ONDC, but actually Beckon is associated with many, many other things which are also extremely interesting. And since you mentioned the purple economy, I want to just spend a little time on Namayatri because that's probably the most 0 to 100 effect of the Beckon protocol. And do you want to talk a little bit about that and then layer on to that?
No, I love Namayatri from Bangalore.
It's a Bangalore thing.
Yeah. So what happened is, and again, Vimal Vimal is a, sort of a
he's an old DPI
saint.
hand.
Yeah, he's at a philosophical level somewhere, but a good executioner. So we had a good Just Pay team, or fintech guys, who are interested actually in trying, understanding the idea that a protocol-driven expansion of the market could actually trigger 100x more growth. And also they were not incumbents. So if it looked like they are taking on Uber or Rapido, it's hard. It's still hard for them, by the way, to execute is hard. I have to give them the kudos to that. But they thought, we have a method to execute this differently. And they created the world's first decentralized mobility subnetwork, and now they joined ONDC. Now, you can actually see, we imagined this, literally the UI in 2018, when we started Beckon, where I can stitch together, any app can stitch together the most economical and fast path from Koramangala to Malleshwaram in Bangalore, by the way. Yeah. Today, Namayatri just announced the new UI is beautiful. You'll actually see in Delhi especially, I can walk down 7 minutes. Metro, 20 more minutes. Ticket, single stitched UI. Better for the public transport is better in every sense. Better for the people, better for planning, but it cannot be happen in silo. So when Metro joined, auto rickshaws joined, taxis started joining, the combinatorial effect started playing out. And that is what we were pushing towards, saying it is not one platform game, it's a multi-platform game. It's not a platform versus, it's a multi-platform game. If multi-platforms have to connect each other, you need a fabric, and that's what the protocol is all about. And Namayatri peculiarly was also very socially conscious, that team. So Shanti and the Purple Economy team, the Enable India team, they're here actually. Shanti is here, the whole team is here. And you guys, they actually said, you know what, why don't we layer an accessibility program on top of Namayatri? And auto rickshaw guys, very interestingly, was very supportive, because this is what human beings do. When they realize, oh, it's an 8-month pregnant woman or a somebody in crutches who can't walk or a wheelchair. Small things. Smile.
But
Okay,
what
first
does
of all,
it
don't
mean?
start fighting. Auto rickshaw, we fight when you enter and fight when you exit. No, normally. Okay, so, we are saying just smile to start with, or maybe get down and help. Small step. But how did the auto rickshaw guys know this? That is very important. So they actually was very, very smart to say, first, beacon protocol itself, let's embed purple awareness in the protocol. That means accessibility awareness. So our beacon protocol team created that metadata flow that allowed Namayatri to actually show up to auto rickshaw driver saying that, okay, you do have someone needs accessibility who's showing up. Do you want to accept it or not? And if you're accepting, then you sort of know, okay, I should support. And they get brownie points. I think there are a lot of those interesting program elements they're getting. So very interestingly, a purple movement started. And that's what Shanti and team and, again, it's tough problem to crack because there's always an exception problem. Oh, that's like exception. Everybody is normal. Okay? This is hard. But 150 million people plus temporary disability, it's full country, several countries put together volume at our level, right? I love the fact what Namayatri as a market player, Beacon Protocol as an open source team, and Enable India as an NGO who deeply cares about this sector, came together to actually create a purple-aware economic transfer, okay, on very, very powerful end-to-end. Beautiful story. Now they're expanding it to all. If you're a company, if you're a business, if you're not getting purple-aware, shame on you. You guys really have to learn about this part. Go see they have a panel, I think, or they have a booth outside. Go please talk to them. It takes only a few steps. One step in your company, 2 steps, you can do it. That's what Namayatri showed. Now they're actually expanding that to metro and other places to be slowly, steadily. It's not overnight. India doesn't go overnight. 15, 20 years later, we have to start. That's what they did. Great job, guys.
So I want to move to the 2 more complicated things that you did, which always makes my head spin, even though I've read the papers. And you say just read the papers. Believe me, it's not as simple as just reading the papers.
No, read the paper again.
Yeah. I've read it 10, 15 times. But,
it's like quantum physics.
It's like quantum physics. The verifiable credentials idea, right? So
That's easier to understand.
Yeah, so I'm starting with that. So the verifiable credentials idea, I think we built DEPA to share personal information from one silo to the other. I think Madhavi was part of it. The whole idea that I have personal data
proof
in a silo,
Yeah.
and then I have to move it to someone else to prove that I have that information was very difficult in the physical world, and we made it easy by building these pipes.
Correct.
But you think that that's not easy enough. And from that context, can you explain why we now need to move from these pipes that we've built to self-custodial verifiable credentials? I'm once again using jargon to show you I've read the paper, but please explain it.
No. Okay, I'll try to explain a little bit. Okay, I'll give you an example. Today, you apply for visa, European Schengen visa, and all of you have gone through it. You show bank statements as a proof. You show employment as a proof. How do you show? Paper. So they said print out 6 months worth of bank statement and a PDF print out from your employer and put it in the envelope and show. Then I asked them, actually Schengen guys, okay? I shouldn't have asked because they might have denied my visa, but I was like, how do you know this paper is genuine? I could have sat in front of ChatGPT and produced an Axis Bank statement instantly. The ability to create fake is enormously easy. Okay, very, very powerfully easy. That means you could have created a 6-month statement. It'll generate, it's also generative AI. Beautifully it'll hallucinate the shit out of it and then produce whatever bank statement you wanted. Then they said, no, okay, how do I trust? Put a seal. Put a seal on every page. How do you know the seal is genuine? I could have gone to the,
Mayo Hall. You go to Mayo Hall, you buy a seal.
Anywhere, any number of seals I could have. They said, don't ask these questions. Okay, I said, okay, maybe I should stop it. Okay, maybe I won't get the visa. So I said, okay, take it. It's really the fake sense of security. fake sense of security that we live in our world, in our processes, past processes, is crazy. And cross-border, it gets amplified. Domestic, at least, we can starting to solve some paperless. So what we were really saying, today, individuals and businesses' ability to make claims that I am an engineer, how do I know? I worked in Amazon, how do I know? Everything is fakeable. So what did credentialing do? It creates at the source, when that document shows up, the document is cryptographically signed by the issuer. That's what's happening in DigiLocker. Okay, when it's cryptographically signed, then any number of copies later, it is intact and non-tamperable. That means any number of copies I make, and I can share it through WhatsApp, by the way. Aadhaar, cryptographically verified QR code of Aadhaar, for example. It'll remain verifiable and non-tamperable. It's very, very powerful. So tech is there. So that's what we started with DigiLocker. That's what we started there. So imagine a world where our documents are proofs, proof of work, proof of earning, proof of learning, all that being verifiable. And that's my call of action to you, by the way. All of you. You give salary slip. Indians live and die by salary slips, by the way. Please convert salary slip into a verifiable. I'll give you the schema. It takes literally 20 paise, 10 paise. Put it in the DigiLocker in the hands of the user. If you can do that one thing from today, you would have done absolute massive shift in India's economy. One thing, make salary slip verifiable. Will you do that? Okay, thank you. Please do. All of you, go back and tell. Okay, PDF, we'll give you the tech, but nothing. You should do it too, okay, all your employees. Convert into verifiable credential. At source, then the flow of trust become much more easy, low cost, high trust, flow of trust. Now you can do cross-border. Somebody who shows up in a university abroad. Somebody comes from Singapore and India is doing a project right now. Singapore, where Indians go to Singapore and actually starts working. And they have no mechanism to verify other than paperwork and long process of some background verification. How do you know the background verifier actually verified? No one really knows, okay? But we are actually moving away from that. So this is what we are doing with verifiable credential. But what we are doing globally is that unlike what we did with India, this is a difference. India, we custom built DigiLocker. We custom built account aggregator. In the universally, what are under Networks for Humanity effort, we are creating a universal pipe, and universal, like a TCP IP4 credential, and an HTTP4 credential exchange. Think of that way. So we are creating a universality around that, so that each country don't have to try doing this. All they have to issue is that every entity in that country, government or private, start issuing and start accepting. When you recruit, you start using it in the recruitment flow. When you have an employee, start issuing it. If you can issue and accept, one action from you guys would have changed humanity, I can tell you. You should read that paper, I put that QR code. Please read it again and again. The power of credentialing to dramatically collapse the cost is so high that we are idiots to know what to do. Okay, please go back and do two things. Issue and accept. Credential and keep pushing. Don't wait for the whole world to do. You do. And if every one of you do, 10 years later, we'll be looking back and say, whoa, this is awesome. That's what we are after. Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want
We're
to...
done. It's all red.
Oh, it's all red. Okay. It's there, so I can't see. I want to close with the manifestation, the most complex. This is the quantum engineering manifestation of this in the Finternet. Because obviously, tokenization, verifiability is part of this new vision that you have for, since the Medicis, there's not been a disruption to banking in the way that the Finternet will be. So in the last, I guess, minus 5 seconds, if you can just explain this big vision for what it is based on this idea of verifiability.
So one of the things that we see today is that we see many parts of it playing out. You would have heard tokenized stablecoin movement. They passed the Senate bill now, Genius Act coming thick and fast. That means, or CBDC, India CBDC, other European CBDC. What does it do? What does it mean by tokenizing an asset like money? is that it is creating same effect of a physical note, okay, in the digital world. But difference is that you will say commercial money today, bank, I have all digital, right? Everything is digital, all my bank, all the zeros are all, everything is digital. Except that it is not self-custodial. That means if it's a ledger in the bank that is verifying that the money is there or money is not there. But note, that's not how it is, right? It itself is transferred. That's why today your ability to carry cash across the border. I can carry $1 across the border, hand over to a counter, and they accept it. But to do this with money in the digital world today, you know how many banks and how many FMIs have to come together to integrate, API integrate between them? Which is why you can't move money. Because when we digitized, this is very, very philosophical, but when we digitized, we gave the custodial control to the systems back, which is okay for regulatory control. But the asset control, asset ledger also was given behind. That means unless these intermediaries exist, they cannot do. Tokenization takes us to the world where, and Nandan called this in Basel when he presented to all the regulators in Switzerland. He called, the title was Back to the Future. Okay, where we used to carry certificates, money, and handover, and they accept it. Imagine that ability in a cryptographically protected world, so that it is digital, but very, very, very easy. Integration is between you and the accepting party, and not like n number of intermediaries who need to integrate, because it is not that they shouldn't be there. They can be there for trust and other purposes. But integration creates enormous complexity of friction of flow. And that is what tokenization does to every asset. Now, if internet takes one level above, I'll stop there, is that it is not just about money. If internet imagines a world where any form of economic value, you think something has a value, your painting, your child's drawing, your invoice, your vehicle, your property, of course, they're all assets, your money, every form of value can be actually tokenized and exchanged. The fluidity of that exchange. Audacious and long vision, but we are very, very hopeful that because we are seeing all the signals. Trend is your friend, I told you, right? So Nathan says. So it's very, very important. We can see all the technology is getting ready. Society is getting ready because we are tokenizing money, stable coin. So people are comfortable with the idea. Now, it's a TCP/IP version for that. In the sense, how can we actually create a unified form of tokenization of every form of asset and give the custodial control to individuals to be able to transact appropriately with the rules embedded in the token. Very powerful notion, imagination, and very low chance of success, very, very low chance of success. But, you know, as I said, you guys are all busy doing something else. We are doing something else. So
well, they said
attempting is worth.
They said Aadhaar had a very low chance of success, so I would bet
everything had a low chance.
Yeah,
it's worth that. It's a patience game. Either government has to invest in patience capital. GPS and internet didn't come from private market because patience capital is needed for something like this. So that's what's happening.
Pramod,
what you can do is two things. Okay, I want to recruit them. I want two things you have to do. Okay, in addition to salary slip, converting salary slips, okay, is look for opportunity to join this movement to say, okay, I'll try an experimental thing on the side. Whenever you calibrate, next 6 months, next 1 year, but do not lose vision of what's coming. And that's one investment as senior leadership you can do, that I want to be on top of the trend and make sure, and calibrate your investment appropriately. It's not that whole company can shift and all that thing. And the second is provide, that's our discussion on contribution. Every one of you have the ability to contribute some resource or something towards larger movements like this. Sometimes it's money, because it's easier for you to give money, and I don't have, because you're busy doing other things. Sometimes it's people, like brain power, right? Sometimes it's just one event where all of you show up and say, you know, let's make this one, many of those events like this. But do not ever step back from the ability for you to contribute. And I want you to, one, invest, and second is to contribute. Contribute not money alone, contribute money, time, resource, anything, intellect. We are completely open-ended, imagination of how the future could unravel. And it's important that all of you participate. So I ask you, deep request that you should do it.
Thanks, Pramod. It's always an inspiration talking with you. Keep imagining, take us back to the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Yeah, lovely.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod, Rahul, for that powerful conversation. It was knowledgeable and then also very inspiring at the end. I'd now request Harish Mittal, PGP 88, to come onto stage and felicitate our speakers.